Hi, Scorpios, and welcome to your March 2023 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about your month ahead. I hope you're all doing really well. We have your ruling planet of Pluto changing sign this month for the first time in 15 years. We have Saturn moving into your fellow water sign of Pisces, and we have your traditional ruling planet of Mars changing sign into the fellow water sign of Cancer this month as well. So this is a life change, Scorpio. This is kind of what you're made for. This is the essence of transformation. And this is where big stuff happens for you. Okay, big stuff. I'm seeing like major wins, gains, and yes, that does mean some losses as well. It doesn't have to feel like a loss. It does. It's not like the word loss charged with sadness or charged with unfortunate energy. It's more like reduction and also gain. So it's change, right? A different kind of gain, a different kind of loss. This is one of the most important months that I can probably talk about you. So let's do it. Let's dive into it, Scorpios. I'm going to do intuitive messages, of course, followed by a week-to-week tarot forecast and an extended reading, which will be linked below on Patreon. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button if it resonates. And there's a lot of bonus content, weekly forecasts, and extended readings on Patreon linked below. So come check it out. Okay, Scorpios. Intuitively for you, there's nothing bad here. There's nothing like really very problematic for the majority of Scorpio people. What is here is change, and what is here is perception changes and really like quantum changes, maybe even more so than physical changes, but of course a change in perception and a change in therefore a change in quantum, therefore will be a change in physical circumstances. But I think it's like kind of like being on an arc, or it's like being so safe and so resourceful that you can like really do the important stuff or perceive of the important stuff. Try to revisit your hierarchy of priorities in the month of March, especially up until like March 5th, like that very beginning, as we're in the very last part of Saturn in Aquarius and Pluto in Capricorn. But this can stretch throughout the rest of the month even. But like, try to just really understand the zest and the root and the meat of the last like chapter of your life. Understand what you did and didn't like about it, and start to also understand how certain parts of it cannot come with you. But this is going to start to introduce you to new open doors. Trying also to understand your foundations in life will be important this month. Pluto only changes signs ever so often, right? It has an uneven arc in its transit, so it spends different amounts of time in different signs. It was about 15 years in Capricorn. I think that it's almost 20 years in Aquarius, but probably more like 17 or 18 years, because it will transit back into Capricorn at the end of this year before it moves permanently into Aquarius. So I would take that into account for you as well, Scorpio. Some of the big changes in your life might be like wavering a little bit, and there could be this kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out situation for a lot of Scorpios. But if you're ready to just commit to a new plane or a new way of path work, I think that you can be very advanced by stepping onto that now. And not holding it against yourself, though, if you are still kind of like discerning or even vacillating between two different options or opportunities, as that would seem reflected in the greater transits right now. There is kind of a greater vacillation happening in the planets on cusps. We've had a lot of cusp retrogrades over these last few years, actually. Of course, Saturn retrograding on the cusp of Aquarius and Pisces, Pluto retrograding on the cusp of Aquarius and Capricorn, Jupiter retrograding on the cusp of Aries and Pisces. I believe it did. Or was it Aquarius and Pisces? I don't know. All I know is that there's been a lot of retrogrades on cusps, which has people like not quite sure whether they want to stay or go. Not quite sure of whether they want this location or that location. It's very like deliberative energy that we're in collectively. And for you, you probably need to usher in change, I think, because I think that that's maybe the more advanced thing, because a lot of people are like maybe not brave enough or strong enough to do it, and you might need to kind of lead in that way, but not in a destructive way, okay? Not in a overly polarizing way. In fact, Scorpios, I kind of feel that all of that super edgy, super polarized, super loud, transformative energy may become so in vogue that it's not really transformative anymore, and you may have to be more stable, or you may have to be more subtle and subdued, actually. Not for all Scorpios. It doesn't mean that you have to make your life bland. It doesn't mean that you have to desaturate yourself too much. There's a little bit of that. But it is about really diagnosing the change in quantum and the change in perception as a more maybe loud, energetic signature becomes more status quo. Maybe you become softer, or you become more subdued or less accessible. I do feel you becoming less accessible, and you probably have been for a long time, but this 29th degree of Capricorn is actually very powerful for you, that we have Pluto in right now, your ruling planet. And it's such a valuable time to basically not feel that inhibition or restriction or opposite will has all that much power over you, but to nonetheless work with it and come to integrative outcomes. How can you also make more helpful relationships in your life? For a lot of the signs this month, it's really motioned towards friendships and the true love of friendship and the ability to have a lot of ease in your life by having friends. What is the status of friendships in your life? How are your overall relationships? Try also not to get really like, Machiavellian with things and be like, as long as I have money, nobody else matters. Or as long as I have like all of this ownership construct, then like, it doesn't matter how people feel about me. Like there are things like that that might be true right now, but it is not maybe as powerful as it thinks it is. It doesn't mean it's not powerful, but I think that it is vulnerable in sort of unspoken ways that will come up within the next few years. What else do I want to talk about for you all before the week to week? You have the Chariot and the King of Pentacles. Those are the two that are really drawing me, and the Moon. King of Pentacles is good. I do think that you need to really understand what your new baseline is at a material level. That's a big part of freeing up some perceptive bandwidth for yourself, perceptive bandwidth, like having enough energy to really perceive of other things so you're not distracted or you're not freaking out about material things, but it's a balance nonetheless. And the Chariot, it's likely to have a move this month, or it's likely maybe to have a new vehicle, or to have a vehicle of change in your life. Very strong catalyst energy, very good for perceiving of your purpose. It's really nice. Otherwise, abundance is here for you, Scorpio. You're much more abundant than I feel that you've been over the last few years. This is a new place of being. And like I was saying for you last month, and for a lot of the signs, it's the beginning of the calendar year of 2023. I felt that it was so important to usher in these changes and understand how things have changed so that we can better orient ourselves to the next steps of our progression. But on that note, Scorpios, let's talk about your week to week. In the first week of March, you have the Chariot rooted down by the Four of Cups. You are the change maker in your own life. Try to watch out for too much advice. And also you would see that by relying too much on other people's notions, that it would be like a yo-yo, or it would be really conflicted and all over the place. So like only you can answer these questions. But it does take a lot of solitude, and I would definitely recommend giving yourself extra time for meditation, detox, cleansing, because that's what's putting you clear enough to like make these big changes. And there's going to be something that's a little bit grand there. The Chariot is very grandiose, and it's like also represents strong movement in a state of rest. Okay. So it's also making things smarter. It's making things more optimized. It's updating things to make them work better. So instead of walking that distance, we have the Chariot to ride in. It is a card of technology and represents, for example, like the invention of the wheel, allowing a much grander scale of movement. What do you need to move in your life, and what can make that easier? Only you can choose to do it smarter, okay? So maybe it takes you to decide not to work 70 hours a week and instead to implement a better system that allows you to work 30 hours a week, things like that are really good here. Updates, sensible updates. Week number 2, you have the moon rooted down by the King of Pentacles. Okay, I do feel that there are some, how should I put it? It's almost like pretending that things are better than they are or worse than they are. Make sure that you're allowing yourself to know the true state of your world and the true state of the situation that you're in. Although there can be a therapeutic part of like romanticizing the experience for some people, but maybe that should be placed into a more artistic expression like music or poetry or writing. Try to find new channels maybe for your creative expression. I'm feeling that very strongly. It's an unusual combination of cards to think of creativity, but that's what I think of with those two. Maybe you have enough resources or reserves to be more creative in your life and to devote more time to a creative hobby. You're encouraged to do that or to start moving towards your creative passions. I think that it's unfortunate right now how much people have to apply money to things. And I think that that's also with the moon and the King of Pentacles. It's like getting like over obsessed with the energy of money, having to like make every creative pursuit yield a financial result. I think that people are starting to be called to like do things that aren't so financial as well. So that could be coming up for you too. Week number 3, the Knight of Wands reversed, rooted down by the Knight of Swords. Okay, so there's like a mirror. There is some kind of mirror image. I think that combination was coming up for a different sign this month as well. And I was feeling that people have to not be so obsessed with their reflections, and also that mirrors kind of like distort the way that people conceptualize themselves. So try to trust that in person, things just are, and you don't have to like make so many alterations to yourself. Like I'm seeing a big raise in like a Botox and appearance-oriented things that change the face or change the reflection, diets, weight changes, things like that, as feeling very necessary for people right now. And just make sure that it's healthy. Make sure that it's not like compensating, okay? So when we have our broken heart and we go to the Botox salon to fix that, really watch out for that type of thing. Roundabout solutions are not something that I feel you have to really indulge in as much anymore, because I feel that you have the strength of character or disposition to actually get straight to the point with things instead of beating around the bush so much. So look at where things are really passive or indirect, okay? Week 4, the 8 of Wands rooted down by the 7 of Cups. Okay, you want to understand that with abundance comes a bit of chaos. With multiplicity or wealth or, so many different relationships comes something beyond our control. So I think a lot of Scorpios have like isolated down to like feel a sense of control, but then is it overrated as we start to see like I have to do everything myself? There's nobody supporting me. There's no leverage here. And a part of the Scorpio archetype is leverage. So I would revisit the areas of leverage that you have in your life. So this can be like your relationship, right? This can be friendships. This can be professional networks. I feel that you need more people. But you also have to be like healthy enough to be solid in that place of contact with other people. So yes, it's like a crossroads for Scorpios. Some Scorpios are going the independent hermit path, and some Scorpios are going the almost like, I would call it like almost political relationship oriented path. And it depends on you. It depends on what your motives are and what you like want in your life, but just kind of understand that crossroads might be there, and that either way, I feel that you're gaining more abundance, and that just has to be managed in a certain type of way. And I wouldn't get so obsessed about these minute things anymore. Anyway, Scorpios, I'm going to do an extended reading for you. We'll talk more about this, get a central theme, supporting themes, and a significator card. Come check out the Patreon page. It's a great value. For you, I'm going to talk more about, the change in mindset that's happening when it comes to like getting maybe obsessed with small details or getting caught up on things that lose time. So let's talk about that in your extended. Have a great month, Scorpios. Bye.